Hello and welcome to How to Be an Icon. I'm Jared Jones. I'm joined, as always, by Donna Cameron.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing really well.
Yeah, doing real well?
Yeah, doing really well. I got a grown-up job now.
You do. You have stopped staring at children while they do maths exams.
and I've elevated to a different job
Yeah.
that I can't discuss.
Oh, you can't discuss it?
No, it's a secret and interesting.
Oh, that's very fun.
It's just mostly boring, so I don't want to grind the show to a halt.
Yeah, exactly. By talking about your new job. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on our social medias. Instagram, Twitter. We are now on YouTube. We are uploading episodes onto YouTube, so keep an eye out for that. We also upload all of our fun shorts there. You can also follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and please leave us a review and a comment down below.
Share it with people you like, so I don't have to do this job. I can do this job instead.
We can do this full time, yeah. Give us a comment down below of what your favorite Superman thing is, because there are so many Supermens out there.
All right, we have to fall down to the important question.
Yeah.
Is it Supermen or Supermans?
Supermans. Yeah, I think it's Supermans in this.
Okay.
Because,
in this configuration. All
because today we are talking about the original Superman himself, the man who I think is definitely a Superman, Christopher Reeve.
Yes, you're really good at surprising me with these. And I was like, oh, nice thinking. The only thing I really know about this is the theme song.
Yes. I
listened to it in Home Bargains about an hour ago, and it's great.
It is. It's really, really, really good. John Williams theme. But yeah, obviously the new James Gunn Superman is coming out. I think it'll be out probably next week when the time this comes out. It's going to be out in the next couple of weeks. And people are very excited for it. Me, I'm a bit done with superheroes, At the all-you-can-eat superhero buffet, I'm like, no, I'm good, thank you. That's my personal.
I don't need any more bread rolls.
I don't need any more Supermans. But obviously this Superman, it looks a bit more colourful. It looks a bit more kind of fun, I think, compared to...
I know so little about this Superman. It's a real misnomer to me, this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it's got like the Crypto, the super dog is in it, which is kind
That's fun.
It is fun. When he is dressed as Clark Kent, he does look like wrestling promoter and owner of Fulham Football Club, Tony Khan.
Yes, he does.
Which is unfortunate, but...
Tony Khan is a man who should be bullied.
He should be bullied. And maybe one day we'll do an episode on Tony Khan, because I think he's an interesting, weird guy.
But we can't go on about that for
We
too
can't
long.
go down that rabbit hole. We are going to be talking of Christopher Reeve.
Ooh.
So, before we get into it, though, what is Christopher Reeve's favourite drink?
So I actually don't know anything about him other than Superman, and Superman doesn't drink, so he's like a real American boy. Is it a Budweiser?
Is it an all-American beer? Well, no, you are incorrect on that one. In a 1989 interview with Terry Wogan, Christopher Reeve mentioned...
Wow, Wogan!
Yeah, Terry Wogan. He mentioned that he enjoyed drinking Dom Perignon Rosé.
Ooh, that's such a fruity drink.
I know, a very expensive rosé champagne is Christopher Reeve's favourite.
I bet it's delicious.
I bet it is too.
And on that Superman money.
Oh. Well, the thing about Christopher Reeve is, and you're going to learn a little bit about this, is that he actually comes from quite a high-class sort of background. He is like very classic.
Wow, he's so good at playing a regular man.
I mean, he is very good at playing a regular man. Like, it's one of the things that he's really, really good at. But yeah, born Christopher D'Elia is how it's when I'm pronouncednames.com. So if you're unhappy with that pronunciation, have a go at them. But yeah, Christopher D'Elia Reeve was born on the 25th of September, 1952 in New York City. His mother was Barbara Pitney Lamb, who was an associate editor for the local newspaper in New Jersey called Town Topics.
Is there any way that where we live that we can have town topics sent to us?
Why?
Because I have no interest in reading a UK newspaper, but I want to read town topics so bad.
I think it's unfortunately defunct now.
Boo.
And his father was Franklin D'Olier Reeve, who was a teacher, novelist, poet, and scholar. His dad was like very highbrow, well-regarded poet. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah. His family could be traced back to the Pilgrims coming over on the Mayflower.
Oh, wow. One of those.
Yeah, one of those.
Okay.
Yeah. And his mother could be traced back to French aristocracy. So, like, there's...
Do we know who precisely?
We
or-
don't know who precisely, but... Yeah.
So not a really important one.
I mean, it's pretty high up, though, you know.
But, like, important enough that you can, like, log it, yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, he's, like, you know, very, very, like, nice background, like, family-wise, I guess. But Christopher would kind of have a bit of a hard time with his family because his mother and father would divorce when he was just age 3.
Mm-hmm.
And they'd both remarry and have other children. So he kind of felt like a bit of a spare part with a lot of, you know, within his own family
Yeah,
kind of thing.
You're
So,
kind of in between that.
but he was extremely bright. He excelled academically, would play multiple sports, including football, baseball, tennis, and hockey. He was trained to play the piano. He sang soprano in the choir. So,
Whoa.
and he could also speak fluent French. So, yeah, he's...
That's incredibly impressive.
But his father was never particularly impressed by this. He always just kind of thought that he wasn't... He was just like, all right.
All right, cool. Yeah, you should be able to do that. I'm like renowned poet.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, bad dad.
Yeah, he would really... It would often like get to him that he
Yeah.
couldn't really get like his father's approval. So it was, you know, it was difficult for him.
Yeah, that's very understandable. That's really hard to deal with.
But he became interested in acting from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
He said because he felt more comfortable just kind of playing a part. That was what he enjoyed doing. So he just really focused in on it. In 1962, he would be in his first stage production. At age 15, he would spend his summer as an apprentice at the Williamstown Theatre Festival. So, you know, he had a lot of training. He would do a lot of acting.
He's like appearing in things
Yeah.
and like, yeah.
In 1970, Reeve graduated and was ready to go to college. He decided to go to Cornell because it was the closest to New York City.
New York.
And he thought he could get roles while he was in college. So,
I think that's very common if you're able to attend Cornell because of the distance
Yeah.
and like if you're able to.
he started in theatre production while at Cornell and caught the eye of Stark Hasseltine, a high-powered New York agent. He had
Are we ever going to meet someone with a more New York agent name than
Stark Hasseltine. I know.
He sounds like a character from The Producers.
He really does. But he was the man who discovered Robert Redford. He also had clients that included Susan Sarandon and Michael Douglas. So
Wow. So, yeah, really like hitting the...
yeah. Christopher really wanted to drop out of Cornell so badly, but his mother and stepfather said that he had to finish college. So he would complete his university work and in the summer breaks would go to auditions and do productions during that time. He had a full summer season working at the San Diego Shakespeare Festival, acting productions of Richard III and Love Labour's Lost, among others.
Ooh. So getting that like real classic acting.
Yes, he is doing a lot of like very classical acting kind of,
Because a lot of people consider Shakespeare to be like the gate of entry to be an what we say actor.
Actoring. So he does,
he's doing a lot of
he's
cutting his teeth doing the boards and the roles.
he is really getting in his acting miles in at the minute. He's really getting to it. And he decides that he just wants to do acting. So he gets accepted into Juilliard, which is obviously the famous New York acting school. And the way that it's kind of worked out that he would complete his first year of Juilliard would also act as his third year of Cornell. So it would be like he would get a full degree.
Oh, yeah. That thing about universities that I don't really understand that you can somehow like...
Yeah, he could transfer
timeshare it.
Yeah, basically. So he did technically end up like completing university degree.
Credits?
Yeah, I guess. I don't really know. I don't know how the American system works.
Barely know how the UK system works.
They just keep sending me letters saying that I owe them money and I refuse to pay.
And I throw them in the bin.
That's a joke, by the way, student finance. I know you're probably listening. That is for comedic purposes only. 2,000 students would audition for Juilliard, but only 20 would get accepted. And Reeves was accepted for the advanced acting class. It was only him and one other person, which happened to be Robin Williams.
Whoa!
Yeah, the two of them would become really good friends through Juilliard.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense for something that happens later.
One of Juilliard's lecturers was John Houseman, who at the time had recently just won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for The Paperchase, 1973. Reeves recounted a meeting that he had with Houseman where he said, "Mr. Reeves, it's terribly important that you become a serious classical actor. Unless, of course, they offer you a shitload of money to do something else."
That is the best professional advice anyone has ever given anyone. That could have been said by so many other old men actors.
Yeah.
Like, you could put so many other people's name under that and it'd be perfect. But wow, what great advice.
What great advice.
I want that on a shirt.
He would end up leaving Juilliard before he was able to graduate due to his commitment working on the soap opera Love of Life, 1951 to 1980. When he signed, he was told that it wouldn't interfere with his Juilliard studies, but there later became scheduling conflicts, and he was only doing the role to pay for Juilliard, so it sort of made sense to be like, well, I'll just carry on acting in that. He would continue working in smaller productions, a lot of off-Broadway stuff, along with a lot of like very famous actors. Like we said, Robin Williams was there. William Hurt was one of the other ones as well that he was just like acting alongside.
Oh, so again, like that really early days, like just like doing work and being seen, sort of. Wow.
Yeah. But his agent, Stark Heseltine, as we said, the man himself, the most New York agent man that you could ever have.
So you keep saying his name, and in my head, I keep imagining a Muppet.
Yeah, that is a Muppet name, isn't it?
He's like a Muppet with a cigar.
And he told him that he had to go to an audition for a little movie adaptation for Superman.
Superman?
The production had initially planned to have a big leading man. Some of the names suggested were Robert Redford, but he was considered a bit too old. Arnold Schwarzenegger, who, you know, Truth, Justice, and the American Way doesn't quite work with a thick Austrian accent.
I was going to say, at the time, his accent was as thick as it could be.
Yeah.
And that's not his fault. It just doesn't quite work.
Yeah.
They would have dubbed over him in an insane way, which makes me sad that they didn't do that.
Yeah. Dustin Hoffman, Steve McQueen.
What's he doing here?
Muhammad Ali, Clint Eastwood, and Bruce Jenner were all considered for the role of...
Muhammad Ali's a fun one.
Yeah. No, I could see it, but I don't particularly know what his acting skill would be.
Not known as an actor.
But according to Super Slash Man, the Christopher Reeve story, the 2024 documentary, which has a terrible name because you have to read it as Super Slash Man, which sounds like Super Smash Brothers, but like a weird like knockoff turkey version that you get that has like, oh, it's got Goku in it and Mario.
And you're like, oh, and
Spider-Man and Elsa.
Wings?
Yeah, like it's, you know, that's what it sounds like. But no, it's a really, really good documentary. I really recommend it. Like I say, it won the Oscar for Best Documentary this year. But movie producer Pierre Spengler says that the person who was really gunning for the role was singer Neil Diamond. Superman. Superman.
Should we do one where we decide
what we're actually... No. I think we leave that there. We leave it in. Leave all that. But yeah.
No, that's a horrible decision.
Yeah. Fortunately, they did not go in that direction.
No, Mr. Diamond. Absolutely not. Sorry. That's really tickled me, the thought of it.
So they decided to go in a different direction. They would have the protagonist be played by a like relatively unknown and then have big name actors in the supporting roles.
Mm-hmm.
So Gene Hackman would be brought in to play Lex Luthor, and Marlon Brando would be brought in to play Superman's Kryptonian father, Jor-El. Who
love Marlon Brando. I can't wait till we do an episode about Marlon Brando because it's going to be a mess.
It sure is. In 1982, on an episode of David Letterman, Reeve was asked about his thoughts on working with Marlon Brando. He was asked, was he excited to work with him, though? Reeves responded, "No, not really. No, I had a wonderful time, but the man didn't care. I'm sorry, just, he took the 2 million and ran, And there's another story in which she talks about that they're doing, a shot together, and Marlon Brando has to like push him, and he has to fall over and be like pretend that he's getting like a electrocuted because he's getting the powers, that kind of thing. And he pushes him, and Reeves falls over and is doing all this, and they're in like a shot reverse shot so that you can't see Brando's face. And he's just grinning like, "You idiot! What are you doing?" Is
this also the time where he like wouldn't put his sandwich down?
Oh yeah. We're in peak not giving a shit Marlon Brando, which is most of Marlon Brando's work, to be fair.
I have to respect it to a point. I don't on like a moral level, but like on a personal level, I'm like, you really nailed it. You go to have the confidence to go, "No, I'm not putting down my sandwich." Roll the film.
But for the role of Superman, Reeve, who was 6'4", by the way, so he was a big man.
Woo!
Had to work out and tack on quite a bit of mass, and ended up working with the man who played Darth Vader, David Prowse, not James Earl Jones, who was the voice, or Hayden Christensen, who wasn't born yet. He ended up adding about 30 pounds of muscle, which is 14 kilograms.
How so? For the layman listener, how difficult is that to do?
He was doing 2 90-minute workout sessions a day just for tacking on muscle.
So it's one of those really intense ones.
Yeah. It's like he was like...
he's triangle shaped in that film.
Yeah,
like,
he's so big. He gets bigger throughout as the movies go on because he keeps the routine up. And like I say, he's 6'4". He's a massive man. So, but I think one of the things as well that a lot of people say about why he's so good in these movies is not just because he's great as Superman, which he is.
Yeah.
He's incredible as Clark Kent.
This is one of the most memorable things for those movies for me.
Yeah.
Of like knowing that it's the same guy.
Yeah. He like the way that he just kind of like moves his body in a way that like when he's Clark Kent, he's all like short and hunched over, and then he takes the glasses off and he just stands up and has such a presence about him. It's incredible. Like it's genuinely.
There are definitely times where he does it and almost like fills the shot just by standing up straight, and it's so impressive. And
I think the Superman movies, like they definitely have their time. They're dated at this point, like, but his performance as the like good American boy. He's so good in it. I think he's absolutely fantastic. He based his performance of Clark Kent on Cary Grant in Bringing Up Baby from 1938. It's incredible just watching him do it. The other thing
is very smart acting.
Yeah, it's very, very smart acting. And I think that's one of the things about Reeve that when you see that, you can see that's where the classical training really comes in,
Yeah. Because so much Shakespeare is... because the audience that's watching it might not necessarily understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have to convey so much of it physically.
Yeah.
That they go together so naturally. And I think that's when you see actors who do that classic training.
Yeah.
Because you go, oh, you're making like smart decisions.
And it's one of the things as well that I think like later Superman movies, because like you've got the 2006 Bryan Singer, Brandon Routh one, which like, Brandon Routh is just kind of doing an impression of Christopher Reeve rather than actually being Superman. And then the Henry Cavill one is just like, Clark Kent, who's that guy? Don't give a shit about him.
Oh, no. What? No.
Yeah. Like,
they'll lean into like, oh, Clark Kent's such a loser. And you're like, you don't have to do it narratively. You can do it physically in like no words at all.
One of the things as well with his physicality of his performance is that the movie is like based on the fact of you'll believe a man can fly is the like big thing of it. Yep. And obviously looking at it now in 2025 eyes, you're like, yeah, I can see that it's a man on wires. Like I see it. But at the time there was 100 people that they called the fly team that would try and make it look like they were, that he was flying and stuff. They did it with a combination of wire work, cranes, and frontal projection.
You can see there's a lot going on.
And it's like, especially when you get to the sort of later movies where it's like bad blue screen and you can clearly see it. There is like a real like kind of space to it all. And one of the things about it is that Reeves' physicality really helps sell the illusion. he was a huge fan of flying anyway. He knew how to fly planes. He had flown solo across the Atlantic.
Sorry, for such a second, I was like, are you about to tell me that he just knew how to fly anyway?
He just knew how to fly anyway.
You didn't mention planes, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, oh, did you not know? Yeah, Christopher Reeve was the only man who could ever fly for realsies. Like, yeah. And they were like, oh.
Stopped.
Yeah. But no, he could like fly planes and stuff.
Wow, that's incredible.
And he used to go out on gliders, which is where they fly you up in an actual plane and then they put you in like a littler plane that doesn't have like
just
an
kind
engine.
of let you go.
And so
safe.
So safe.
So safe. The trust in physics you have to have to allow yourself to do that is a thing I am not capable of.
Yeah. But he had the thing of like, well, this is how it would work in a glider. So I will put that into my performance so that way then of like, oh, okay, so if I was going to go up at this angle, I would turn like this. And that's one of the things that really sells it as like...
That's so smart.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, he really follows like the physics of it, which I think is...
That explains why. Because we don't need to get super into it, but I'm like not massively about superheroes. I think they're a little bit silly.
Yeah.
And some of it is the thing of you go... I know that man's not flying.
Yeah.
That's a really smart decision to make, to understand that physics.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah.
Obviously, the effect is now aged quite poorly, but that's why I find those significantly more watchable than some of the ones we have now.
Yeah, when you watch him when he's doing the scene where he's flying with Lois Lane and like they're like grabbing hold and stuff like that, it is just like there is like, even though you know it's fake, there's a real magic to it. There's a real like movie like magic that you
believe they're moving, whereas a lot of modern films, everything's moving around them.
Yes, that's definitely it. Yeah, that's 100% what it is. But Superman, 1978, directed by Richard Donna, on a budget of $55 million, which was the most expensive movie of all time at that point, made a profit of $300 million.
Wow.
Yeah, that's incredible. Upon hearing that Christopher had gotten the role in Superman, his dad was extremely proud of him.
But only briefly.
Well, yeah, only briefly, because his dad thought that he had landed a role in George Bernard Shaw's play Man and Superman, written in 1903. He was actually very disappointed that his son had gone to something so lowbrow.
That's so sad.
Yeah, right? That's devastating. Yeah, they would fall out in 1988 and not speak to each other for 7 years. So they did not have a great relationship. But yeah, it was not great.
Dad, I figured out how to pretend to make myself fly by understanding how planes fly. And he's like, yeah, but it's not George Bernard Shaw. Yeah. So like, get out.
While filming Superman, Christopher would meet his first partner and mother of his 2 children, Gay Exton. They met at Pinewood Studios. The two were never married because Christopher never really wanted to get married. He just believed that it never really worked out because obviously what he'd seen with his mom and his dad, it just like...
it makes sense. Like, you don't have that.
They would remain together for 10 years and would separate in 1987. Superman 2 was already in the can because they filmed a big chunk of it while they were filming Superman 1. So it was like they were sort of like filmed at the same time.
That correct me if I'm... So, did that used to happen more or does it happen more now?
I'm not actually sure. I think that like there's just kind of examples of it. Like classically, like The Matrix 2 and 3 are filmed at the same time, Back to the Future 2 and 3. They normally do it for sequels because they know that they've got...
because you already have the like confidence in it. But doing the first and the second one is an odd one because that's like a real like... We're certain on this one that it's gotta work.
I think it was just the fact that they were like contracted to do them. They were sort of There's a lot of plot points in 2 that are set up in 1 that come out in 2. Like talking about General Zod, he makes an appearance in the first one and then is the main villain of the second one.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, fun fact: Gene Hackman only ever played the role of Lex Luthor twice, despite being in 3 movies, because all of the footage that was in Superman 2 was filmed for Superman 1. So.
What a great work week for him.
Yeah, exactly. He got it all. There were problems with Superman 2's production. The original director, Richard Donna, was pushed out of the movie and ended up being directed by Richard Lester. But it was a huge success. On a budget of $54 million, it would rake in $216 million. So it's a pretty big, it's a pretty big one.
I always have the problem when you hear pushed out, not in like a professional capacity. I imagine them being like, come on, get. And you're like just watching two men like fight in a door.
Yeah, they were like trying to get in there to try and direct it. Obviously, like big chunks of it had already been directed by Richard Donner.
Oh, so he just kind of literally showed up and went, "This is mine now."
Yeah, and there's like there is a Richard Donner cut of the of Superman 2 of what his vision of it was going to be.
Wow, we've always just loved
recutting
superhero movies.
We love a director's cut of Superman movies. It's our favorite thing in the world. Where is that Snyder cut? Oh, it's 9 hours long. Forget that. Sorry, I'm annoying people by saying that. Like, people are going to be...
I was going to say controversial.
It's controversial. Because of this, you know, the big success of 2, they opted to make a third movie, but Reeve was getting a bit tired of the role. He wanted to do more serious acting. He didn't want to be typecast as Superman. But we are in the era where, you know, you're kind of...
You are typecast.
You are typecast. And the thing was as well was that, you know, he was a big guy. He looked like Superman. It was hard to kind of lose that. Like I say, he's 6'4". He's pretty jacked at this point.
It's quite difficult to put him into other roles, unfortunately. Whereas like now we would go, oh yeah, you go in Fast and Furious.
Yeah,
if you're shaped like a triangle.
Yeah, but he wanted to kind of do like more serious things. So he was working a lot on Broadway. He was doing a lot of kind of smaller movies and things like that, but it wasn't quite working out for him. But he was contractually obligated to do Superman 3. It was not received well. Both Gene Hackman and Margaret Kidder, who played Lois Lane, refused to return due to the treatment of former director Richard Donner from the last movie. So it received bad reviews, mostly stating that it was a Richard Pryor comedy that happened to have Superman in it. So,
ooh, not a great, great review.
Yeah, it's got the same plot as Office Space, which I think they make they make that joke in the movie of like they trying to do the thing of like transactions and they round them off and that's
salami slicing.
Yeah.
He made $1 million.
He made $1 million. So yeah, it's the same plot as Office Space.
Wow. And Office Space is a way better movie.
Office Space is a way better movie. I can safely say that. But the budget was lower than the other two movies as well. It was $39 million budget. And it would take an $80 million, which was like considered a success, but like not as high as the others.
Today it would be considered an absolute failure, but at the time, like anything above the...
Yeah, you know, they normally say like you want to, it's like, I think now, and I don't know how much back then, but now it's the case of it's your budget of the movie to be considered a success. You have to kind of like, or to break even, sorry, you have to double that because that's the cost of marketing. So
that would make sense.
If you got a $50 million movie, if it doesn't make over $100 million, you're probably not breaking even on it. So that's the general rule of thumb.
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah. In 1985, Reeve would get a role in the made-for-TV movie Anna Karenina. The movie, Reeve learned how to ride horses, and he immediately loved it. The ironic thing about it was that he was heavily allergic to horses. He would like,
oh no,
he would break out in like rashes and stuff. He had to inject himself with antihistamine to be able to ride them.
Oh, having to inject yourself with, because we are in like peak hay fever season.
We sure are, yeah.
That's a lot to have to inject yourself with an antihistamine.
Yeah. But he absolutely loved it, and it would go alongside his like other hobbies that he had. He was not really like a daredevil, but he did kind of like, you know, he liked things of like high adrenaline kind of things like that.
I was gonna say you do like high impact sports like skiing and
he did skiing, ice skating, sailing was another big one of his that he absolutely loved doing. So
yeah, so you're not like Tom Cruise.
No,
be careful, buddy. Sports, but you know.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of sporty things and high
surfing
impact.
Is so hard.
Skiing as well, like
yeah.
But at this point, Reeves was like, "I am done with Superman. I cannot
fair.
I cannot be bothered with it anymore. Like, I'm getting older. I'm kind of aging out of the role. I don't particularly want to do it." However, the rights to Superman had been picked up by Canon Films. Now, Canon Films are a great 1980s business that only works in the 1980s.
Oh, okay. Give me that, because I love this.
So they had a very unique business model in which they would finance their movies by selling the rights up front.
Uh-huh.
The distribution rights and the home media rights. They would sell those up front. and they would just be making a bunch of stuff, loads of things, and keeping costs as tight as possible. So they would basically show up at trade shows with a poster for a movie that hadn't even begun production yet, and just be like, here you go, here it is, it's Superman 4. And like,
can we have money?
Yeah, can we have money for that? No one signed up for it. It's not even, no script, no production, no anything.
No actors.
No actors.
We just drew the word Superman 4 on a flip chart.
We've got the rights to Superman 4. It's coming out. We're making it. And that would be
hell or high water.
Yeah. Now, for like low budget movies, which is what they started off doing, like $3 to $5 million budgets, that works quite well. But because you've got the security for the funding, and you've got distribution all sorted, all done in one. However, when you start scaling that up, it doesn't quite work. They had several high budget movies going on at the same time. The hope was to get a budget of around $30 million for the movie. So when the rights were sold to Cannon Films from the original holders, the Silkins, Cannon were under the impression that Reeves was already contractually obligated for a fourth movie.
You shouldn't be under that impression. You should have that written down in a contract.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be an impression.
Well, he wasn't. He was only contracted for 3.
Exactly.
So when it came to the negotiations to get Reeve on board, they were like, ooh, what can we get to get you in? And the thing that they gave him was production credit. Mm-hmm. They gave him creative control of the movie, and they gave him the say on who he wanted as a director. So
they kind of gave him everything.
Yeah, and they gave him the movie that he wanted to make next. They'd give him the production for that.
Oh, that's a really good fish to dangle.
Yeah. So they would produce his next movie, Street Smart, 1987. So he signed with Cannon for a 2-picture deal. And he wanted to make a movie about the nuclear arms and nuclear disarmament. Reeves had become quite an active campaigner on many issues such as nuclear disarmament and environmentalism. He had made a lot of connections with both Democrat and Republican parties. His thinking was, well, that one of them's going to be in government, then the other one's going to be in government.
Yeah,
may as well be on site.
We might as well get both of them on board because it affects all of us.
Yeah, and he would pay for and charter flights for his friends Glenn Close and Susan Sarandon so that they could go to protests in Washington. He would charter flights for them, which is quite sweet. That is
very sweet, but I imagine Glenn Close at a protest with a bottle of champagne.
Well, yeah, you know, she's cold, you know, she's... You're just thinking of her dressed as Cruella de Vil being there. Like,
always.
Yeah. So, yeah, Superman, nuclear disarmament, it's, you know, it's a very noble goal for a movie. How you kind of make that work...
It is a bit difficult. And I can also understand it. If you play Superman, you probably spend a lot of time thinking about, like, the implications of that.
Yeah.
And in the, like, social, political climate that you're in.
Yeah.
That does probably weigh quite heavy on you if you play a character who can save the world. You go, maybe I should do what I can to save the world. It's just not, like, the best fourth installment of a film franchise for a superhero movie.
Well, you know.
And, like, Hideo Kojima's in the background somewhere going, that's brilliant.
Well, yeah, he throws all the nuclear bombs into the sun, and then the sun gives birth to Nuclear Man. So, you know.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
I actually know nothing about this.
Yeah. So Lex Luthor.
Like a Simpsons bit.
Yeah, Lex Luthor manages to get it so that I think it's made from a strand of Superman's hair and genetically manipulates it so that when Superman throws all the nuclear arms into the sun, that Nuclear Man is born. So, you know.
For the listener, Jared looked really distressed as he was saying that. You really were like, oh.
Yeah, that's how that happens. Reeve wanted Ron Howard to direct, and Cannon Film wanted Wes Craven to direct. From Nightmare on Elm Street.
Absolutely. Yeah. Love that decision. That would have been awesome.
But Reeve apparently was like, no, absolutely.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
He's not allowed in the building.
So they ended up getting Sidney Furie, who was a director at the time.
Just a man.
Yeah. Gene Hackman and Margaret Kidder would return. probably because of Reeve's involvement in the film. The movie began...
That and someone threw a bunch of money at them.
Well, we'll see how much money they threw at them, because the movie began production and the budget was immediately halved.
So do you think people were told they would get a bunch of money and then someone went, so it turns out we did too much cocaine and we don't have as much money as we initially thought?
Well, they nearly ran out of money and couldn't finish the film, but Cannon secured a $75 million distribution deal with Warner Brothers for Superman 4 and the Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling movie Over the Top from 1987, which is apparently a good movie. I've never seen it.
Does it just have the same plot as Rocky, but for arm wrestling?
I don't know. I know that Terry Funk, the wrestler's in it, though. So.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Shout out to Terry Funk.
Yeah, love that guy. Now, this is the problem, though, with Cannon films. So you go, $75 million for these two movies? That's going to be huge. Not when you need to fund about 30 different productions with it.
I was going to say, the business model on paper sounds great.
Yeah.
But when you actually start breaking it down, you go, wait, this actually cannot work in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And someone's gone, no, shut up. It does work. If we just keep moving the numbers around.
Keep moving money around, it will work. We'll get it there.
Eventually, if we just... They're doing a lot of what I used to do as a university student. If you just move it from account to account, they can't take it.
That's it. That's exactly what it is. So Superman 4 wasn't given as much money as expected, but it was enough to finish the production.
No, but it is coming. It's just impending right now. Just check the invoice. It says pending.
Yeah. Fun thing about the movie as well was that they didn't use the same crew from the first three movies. They brought in a much more inexperienced crew.
Amazing.
The frontal projection that they'd used to use the flying scenes in the other movies, that was too expensive. Can't be doing with that. So we're going to use the much cheaper and more effective blue screen. And it shows because they reuse so many of the same shots in that movie of the blue screen. They try and recreate the magic of Superman and Lois flying around.
And it just doesn't quite...
It doesn't work at all because they look like they've got no weight to them. Like they're just literally flying around.
It's so weird. You'd actually get a better result from just like strapping two dummies to each other and launching them across a field.
It looks a little bit like the Is This the Way to Amarillo music video with Peter Kay at certain parts.
And if you understand that joke, you can go collect your senior bus pass.
Don't watch that. Oh no, there's too many cancelled celebrities in there. Oh, we can't. There's a really cropped in image here of Peter Kay and Sally from Corrie walking together. Is there not someone else in this shot? No.
No.
There's no one else in this shot.
Oh, and then the shot's wider again.
The shot's wider. There's three of them in this one.
And it's cropped in.
It's cropped in again. Yeah, I wonder why that is.
This one's only Peter Kay.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a Project U Tree cancelled British celebrity that we can't even begin to get into. Nightmare.
All right, sorry. What were we talking about before that?
Yeah.
Green screen.
Yes.
Blue screen.
Blue screen, green screen. Yeah, no, they had enough money to finish the production.
Okay.
Reeve said while the film was being made about Cannon films, they're like the guy who flies tourists but wants first-class service. I admire their recklessness in buying into Superman, though they do like to nickel and dime you on things like paper clips. For the most part, we're getting what we want. Well, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace would release in 1987. On a final budget of $17.5 million, it would make $36 million. One of the fun things about these Superman movies, though, is that they would all get royal premieres. So the Queen of England has seen Superman 4, A Quest for Peace.
Oh.
I know.
And I reckon she learned something.
I reckon she was like, no more nuclear men. Down with this sort of thing.
Get the corgis little blue pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I think that's what little capes on the corgis. That'd be beautiful. That'd be so much fun.
I bet they did have little crowns.
The other thing as well about Superman 4 is that a lot of it was filmed in Milton Keynes.
Now, Jared, for our international listeners, tell them about Milton Keynes.
Milton Keynes is like just the most like So it was built after the Second World War. So there's no history to it. It's like just buildings and industrial estates. They've got the UN in Superman 4. It is an industrial estate in Milton Keynes that they're filming it on. Like,
the only thing I know about Milton Keynes is that it has like a sofa warehouse in it. It's got a DHS in it. Just from that advert that plays every ad break in the UK.
So yeah, that's
so funny.
Yeah, it's a rinky-dink production. You can really
see the M1 in the background.
Yeah, you can really see the shrinking scale of it all. But Reeves at this point was like really disillusioned with his career. He was just like,
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
If you've been to Milton Keynes, you're gonna start thinking that things have gone wrong.
He's not acting in like super high budget movies. He's doing a lot of like TV movie of the week kind of stuff. You know, he's like not. Superman is kind of the one big thing that he has. He's like serious acting roles never really come, unfortunately.
When you are an alumni of Robin Williams as well, when you know kind of the school that you've been to and like the people you like studied with, that's gonna cheese your onions a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, in 1987, his relationship has fallen apart with the mother of his 2 children. He's in this movie that is, being held together by paper clips and...
No, there are no paper clips.
There are no paper clips. They're nickel and diming you on those. So it's literally just been held together by hopes and dreams.
Hopes and dreams in Milton Keynes.
And yeah, it's really fallen apart. But he meets Donna Mussini, who is an actress and singer, and he falls head over heels in love with her.
Aww.
And they end up marrying in 1992, and they had their first child later that year. Obviously, we all know about what happens with Christopher Reeve. On May 27th, 1995, while riding a horse at an event in Virginia, his horse made what they call a refusal or a dirty stop, where they just sort of stop mid-jump.
Right.
They just like...
Yeah, they just...
And Reeve went over and landed on his head and shattered his first and second vertebrae.
Oh, because that's the one like right at the top.
Yeah, right at the top.
God. Oh.
It was said that if he had landed half an inch one way, he would have just died on impact. That would have been that. If he had landed half an inch the other way, he would have walked it off and been a little banged up and probably a little embarrassed, and that would have been it.
Oh, so doctors shouldn't tell you that.
I know. That's one of those
that's one of those, you go, do you know what? That doesn't make me feel any better or any worse.
No.
Because I have been told, I broke my arm and I had the doctor go, well, a little over. This would have been way worse. And I'm like, doesn't cheer me up. My arm's still broken.
Yeah. It's,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's a real just hit the right thing there, and it's just unfortunate.
Just that absolute randomness of life that is truly terrifying. Think about that as you're commuting to work today, y'all.
They performed emergency spinal surgery that had never been performed before, and he manages to survive, but obviously he is completely paralyzed from the neck down, and he's just absolutely devastated by this, as you would be.
As you would be. Like, that's so shattering. Like, it's one of those that you go, oh, I can... No, you can't.
No.
You genuinely can't.
No, it's absolutely just harrowing stuff. And then Robin Williams comes in and pretends to be a Russian doctor. And apparently that cheers you up, is what he says. He's like, yeah, Robin came in. He was doing this Russian accent. He was in full scrubs and I didn't see who he was. And he made me laugh. And I knew then that I wanted to carry on living. I don't know if that would work for me. Robin Williams being, oh, what's happened here, bud? Oh, but I'd be like, God, go away. It's one of those. I guess it's
again. I don't know if I've got a bit of the story wrong. I think he threatened to do an anal exam on him.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that's what he did. And
at that point, you go, please, I've lost everything else. This doctor is now trying to invade me.
Oh, great! And it's Robin Williams, not an actual doctor.
Oh,
wonderful.
Awesome! You're just letting anyone in.
I give Robin Williams a lot of shit, but
No, I think as a thing to do to understand what a person needs is very sweet.
Well, they were incredibly good friends. They had, like I say, they had gone to Juilliard together. They ended up living together in Juilliard. They were apparently the thing about Christopher and Robin that they really got along so well was obviously Robin is extremely quick-witted, but Christopher was just right back at him kind of thing, which like very few people could ever really like have a good
match him
for it. And Christopher was one of the few people who really could. So his world is like being completely turned upside down by this. And the first time that he's seen publicly after the accident was at the 1996 Oscars, and he receives a standing ovation. But like,
that's gonna make me cry.
I know. The difficulty of it was like, how do you get him to the Oscars? Going from his house and then getting there.
Yeah.
So Robin Williams bought him a van that he used for the rest of his life. That was basically just to be able to transport him around. And then he chartered a private plane to get there. And they didn't announce it beforehand. It was a surprise to everyone that he was going to be there. And he receives a standing ovation, and then he's like, right, this is the thing now. I'm going to walk again. That is my primary focus, is that I am going to be able to walk again. By hell or high water, that is the thing I'm going to do. And it's like the thing of like, shows him though that like things are actually possible, that it's not just like you're trapped in your house. He's like, I can get going. I can work.
There is something beyond this.
There is something beyond this. And he goes back to work, which is incredible. He starts in 1996 directing his first movie, and it's about a family dealing with their son having AIDS. And like,
wow.
Yeah. And it stars Glenn Close and Whoopi Goldberg. And he, he's directing, he's doing all this stuff. And then later on in 1998, he stars in a remake of Rear Window, which is his first acting role after being, paralyzed and stuff. And then he's big into his activism. And because of the connections that he had made, both with Democrats and Republicans, he was able to really raise awareness for spinal injuries and full body paralysis. In 1996, he founded the Christopher Reeve Foundation with the sole goal of funding research to curing people with spinal injuries. It did, however, cause some controversy. In the year 2000, Reeve starred in a Super Bowl commercial in which he used CGI to make it look like he was walking. And people called in asking how it was possible. How did they do that? Is he actually walking?
And you're like, no, it's CGI.
And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's so sweet that you would think that in 1999, 2000, because, not to be that person, he looks a bit like a Thunderbird puppet when he's walking along in the commercial.
I was going to say, like, if you've seen The Mummy, we all know what CGI
like late 90s CGI looks like.
But then, Jared, we've talked about this before, and people used to think that train was coming towards them.
It's true. But there was, like I say, there was quite a bit of backlash from this, because there are people who were living with like full body paralysis and spinal injuries who were saying of like that it was coming across as quite patronizing and offensive to be like, what do you mean by cure? Like, this is how I live. This is my life. You're just like kind of taking it to be like, I want to walk again. Whereas people are like, I've lived with this since I was a child. I've lived with this all my life.
This is who I am.
This is who I am now. And at first, Chris was very much like, well, I think that's quite sad that that's your outlook on this. I think we should be aiming for more. But he had a bit of reflection, and I think it was his wife, Dana, who said, no, you need to think about this in a different way. So she ended up setting up the Reeve Foundation Quality of Life Grants Program, which focused on helping people living with the condition. It would focus on them, getting things like correct wheelchairs, being able to get transportation, being able to get like ventilators and things like that, things that people would need who would, live with these conditions and everything. And Dana is just, she's incredible that she stays with Chris this whole time, and she is so supportive of him. She's like his biggest champion and gets really involved with the charity. There is an absolutely harrowing bit that she puts in her diary that comes up in the Superman documentary that I was talking about, where she reflects on living with a man that she, can no longer be physical with. And she says about that she gets, I'm paraphrasing here, she, gets the warm towels out the dryer and she feels the warmth of the towel. And that's the closest thing that she has to feeling the warmth of being with her husband. Oh, no. And it's the most just like, oh my gosh, like that is just so harrowing that she like dealt with that. And she just dealt with it so she just supported him the whole time. Reeve would continue campaigning for disabilities, and act in different things. He made an appearance in the Superman TV show Smallville, 2001 to 2011. But unfortunately, on October 10th, 2004, Christopher Reeve would die from heart failure at just age 52. His widow, Dana, would continue the charity work, and would chair the Christopher Reeve Foundation, and was asked to perform on stage because she used to be an actor and singer. But while she was rehearsing, she had a trouble with a cough and back pain, and she went and got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh, okay, fine. Do you know what? Like, I was trying to keep it together, but no.
I know, it's and she would unfortunately pass away 17 months after her husband on the 6th of March, 2006. A year after her death, the foundation would change its name to the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, and Christopher's 3 children would take over the foundation. And in 2009...
The children exploded?
No.
Sorry, I needed to say something because I was really getting emotional.
Yeah. In 2009, President Barack Obama would sign the Christopher and Dana Reeve Act, and it was to enhance and further research into physical paralysis and improve rehabilitation and the quality of life for persons living with paralysis and other physical disabilities. And that is unfortunately where our story ends for Christopher Reeve. Obviously, this is a little bit heavy. I have linked down below in the description a link to the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. If you want to check them out, have a look and see what they're getting up to. And if you feel need to donate, absolutely feel free to.
Please do.
Please do. And it feels a bit tasteless to go from talking about that to plugging our own stuff. But if you haven't already, please,
you can also throw us a bone.
You can throw us a bone by leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice and following us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, wherever it is that you listen. Please do. Christopher Reeve. The question, I think, does not need to be asked, but we will ask it anyway. Do you believe that he is an icon?
Yeah, absolutely. Even without like the second half of that, of just like, I have so much respect for like actors.
Yes.
And not in like the Jared Leto method acting like an asshole. Like actors who learn their craft and go do it. And like, even if you don't like it, he was still working. He was still being in stuff. You still show up and like do the work. The second half of it is just so like, it's one of those things that you go, wow, you're so inspirational. It sounds very patronizing, but it's like, it is a selflessness that I think a lot of people are not capable of.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think just having the like fortitude to just continue and carry on. And the other thing I will also say, and what I will throw in here, is that Dana is also an absolute icon.
Oh my God. Yeah.
To go through that and to do it like so, she was just always there, always by his side, and just, to go.
That's hard. That's hard. So difficult.
It's so difficult. And yet she does it so absolutely perfectly. And she's such an icon in and of herself. I think my lesson would be, is that, and it's like a real, I'd like to think that someone takes something positive from this of like, you can be Superman, but that's not what's going to make you a Superman. It's your actions that make you a Superman. Playing Superman is the easy part. Being Superman is the hard part. And I think that's the thing of, people look at him and think of him as Superman because he's so great in those movies. He's incredible in them. The way that he's like his physicality and his performance and everything that he does. He is Superman, but he's playing Superman. And then he has the accident. And then he becomes a Superman. And I think that can happen to anyone. You just have to to understand that your actions are what make you a Superman, not the things that the roles that you play. You kind of got to follow it up. And I think that's the thing that I would take away. Anyone can be a Superman.
I don't really have anything funny to say. You kind of got me.
I know. I'm really sorry this one ended on a bit of a bummer note.
No, but I think there's actually nothing I can say that's like funnier or more interesting. I think you sum it up perfectly of just like be a good person.
Yeah, I think that's the most like thing you can take away from it, of just be a good person.
And having the thing that did strike me is like having that reflection of going, oh, you don't need to cure this. You can actually then work to live it, like to just keep learning and reflecting and going back on that, because I don't think it's a selfish urge to go, yeah, I do want to walk again.
Yeah, and one of the other things as well that says, you know, that they put in the documentary is that he was, on his 3 children, he was very much like, he was very competitive. He was very, like, Christopher was very, very competitive, very, very much like, you got to strive for the best, you got to do the best. And then he makes a reflection of, you know, he was very, very physical. And his youngest son is learning to ride a bike, and this is after he's been paralyzed. And he was like, I taught him how to ride a bike by just talking to him. I never, and it's like, if you'd have told me that before this, I would never have thought that was even possible. Yeah. I thought it was all in the physical, but no, by talking, you're doing
so much.
And I think that's like a really like powerful lesson to take away from it, of, like I say, you know, it's not your actions that make you Superman. It's what you do with it that makes you Superman.
This was absolutely incredible, Jared. I think you've done a really good job.
Well, thank you very much for listening. We're going to have a bit more of a fun one next week, I hope.
Oh, next week's going to be very fun.
Very fun, because reading is fundamental. If, like I say, if you haven't already, please leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter.
I'll come back around to Twitter again sooner or later.
And like I say, on YouTube, we are uploading things onto there. Have a wonderful day, and Superman home safe, y'all.
Drive
Drive home safe, y'all.
Love you.